Drama explodes on The Young and the Restless as Diane refuses to forgive Jack and fears losing her place at Chabot, while Devon plots revenge over Mariah's shocking sentence. Victoria clashes with Diane and Kyle, and Holden warns Audra as he rejects Kane's risky plan. Meanwhile, Malcolm and Stephanie return with big secrets, Adam spirals in Las Vegas, and Billy and Sally plan their future. Patty's dangerous obsession threatens Diane, and Summer's absence leaves a growing void in Genoa City. Welcome to A Mysterious Time TV, where the drama unfolds and the stories captivate. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of Young and the Restless, uncovering untold stories and hidden truths behind the headlines. The Monday, April 6th episode of The Young and the Restless delivers intense emotional fallout across Genoa City, as fractured relationships, lingering trauma, and rising vendettas take center stage. Diane reaches her breaking point with Jack, Devon struggles to accept Mariah's legal outcome, and Kane's dangerous agenda begins to ripple outward. Tension builds at Crimson Lights. At Crimson Lights, Holden questions why Kane specifically chose him for a risky mission involving Victor. While Holden is willing to help, he makes it clear he needs more information before taking action. Though he doesn't know Victor personally, he understands how powerful and intimidating he can be. Kane suggests that Holden use his connection with Claire to get closer to Victor. Holden admits he wouldn't mind growing closer to Claire, but he's uncomfortable manipulating her or putting her in a compromising position. Kane acknowledges Holden's hesitation but insists it's the only viable strategy he sees. Despite Holden apologizing for stepping back, Kane reassures him there's no hard feelings and hints at future opportunities to work together. Their conversation is interrupted when Lily arrives. She shares a meaningful glance with Kane, but he refuses to engage and leaves abruptly. Afterward, Holden returns to Lily and reveals something she needs to know about her ex. He explains that Kane had assigned him to investigate her supposed kidnapping out of concern for her and the children. Lily clarifies that the kidnapping was staged, shocking Holden. He warns her that Kane is not thinking clearly and has grown increasingly vengeful since the incident. Holden strongly advises Lily to keep her distance, cautioning that Kane's obsession with revenge, especially against Victor, could spiral into something dangerous, and she doesn't want to be caught in the middle. Diane rejects Jack at the GCAC. At the GCAC dining room, Jack desperately tries to reconnect with Diane, asking her to at least share a drink. She questions the purpose, but Jack pleads, saying he can't bear to lose her and insists she's the only woman he wants. However, when Jack brings up Victor, suggesting that losing Diane would mean Victor wins, he only makes things worse. Diane immediately interprets this as proof that Jack's motives are tied to rivalry rather than love. Though Jack quickly apologizes, the damage is done. Diane admits she can't move past what happened. She's haunted by the image of Jack with Patty and deeply hurt that Kyle witnessed it. Even if forgiveness is possible someday, she says she's nowhere near ready. What hurts most is the betrayal of trust. She had feared for Jack's life, only to discover he was being unfaithful instead. Overwhelmed with emotion, Diane breaks down, unable to see a path forward for their relationship. When Kyle arrives for dinner, Jack asks to join them, but Diane shuts the idea down immediately. Defeated, Jack walks away. During dinner, Diane refuses to discuss Jack, focusing instead on maintaining her professionalism at work. She insists she won't let her personal life interfere with her role at Chabot. Still, she questions whether Kyle expects her to forgive Jack just to keep her job. Kyle reassures her that her position is secure, though he warns that working alongside Jack will be difficult under current circumstances. Despite his support, Diane feels pressured. Kyle apologizes and expresses sadness over the family's fractured state. When he asks if she wants him to hate Jack, Diane responds emotionally, suggesting maybe just a little, before leaving in tears. Devin struggles with Mariah's sentence. At the Chancellor Mansion, Lily meets with Devin, hoping to mend fences. However, Devin cuts off her apology, making it clear he wants to focus on something else. He reveals that Mariah has been ordered into a psychiatric facility rather than prison for kidnapping Dominic. To Devin, this feels like a failure of justice. Lily, however, sees it differently. She believes Mariah needs help, not punishment, and that treatment is the best outcome. Devin disagrees, arguing that Mariah understood her actions and should be held accountable. While Lily points out that Dominic is now safe, Devin remains deeply troubled. He worries about the long-term emotional impact on his son and fears Mariah could be released before she's truly recovered. The fact that someone they trusted could take their child leaves Devin shaken. He admits he doesn't know if he'll ever fully move past it. Lily encourages him to release some of his anger, reminding him that Mariah is no longer part of their lives. She tries to revisit the details of the kidnapping, but Devin becomes defensive, suggesting she would already know if she had been around more. Though Lily accepts his frustration, she still asks what happened. Devin explains that he was on a work call, and everything unfolded in a matter of minutes. Ultimately, he places full blame on Mariah. Abby faces ongoing fear at society. At society, Daniel is surprised to find Abby behind the bar. She explains she's simply handling inventory but takes the opportunity to ask about his close friendship with Tessa. Their conversation shifts to Mariah's situation. Abby admits she's unsettled by the fact that Mariah won't face jail time. While Dominic is physically safe, he's been having nightmares, and Abby remains constantly anxious about his well-being. She confesses that her fear has become overwhelming, even resorting to using Dominic's old baby monitor again. She asks Daniel how to make the anxiety go away. Daniel offers reassurance, saying he doesn't believe Mariah is a threat. Having witnessed her remorse firsthand, he supports the judge's decision to prioritize treatment over punishment. Abby acknowledges Mariah must have been in deep emotional pain but still worries about her fixation on Dominic. When Daniel asks if she truly believes Mariah would harm him, Abby admits it's the uncertainty that frightens her most. She also struggles with guilt, though Daniel insists she's not to blame. Despite understanding his perspective, Abby still believes Mariah should face prison time. Daniel respects her feelings but hopes that someday forgiveness might be possible. Devin's anger turns political. Devin later arrives, and after Daniel leaves, Abby shares their discussion. Devin, still furious, remains firm in his belief that Mariah must be punished. Although Abby is conflicted about whether jail is necessary, Devin is not. He reveals his plan to take action against those responsible for the plea deal, specifically targeting the judge and district attorney. Determined to hold them accountable, Devin declares he will work to ensure they are not re-elected, signaling that his anger is far from subsiding. Jack faces his guilt at the Abbott mansion. Back at the Abbott mansion, Tracy is relieved to see Jack return home. She encourages him to open up about what happened. Jack takes full responsibility, admitting he was unfaithful to Diane with Patty Williams. Tracy already knows, having heard from Billy. While Tracy places the blame squarely on Victor, Jack refuses to shift responsibility. Even if he was manipulated, he believes he should have resisted. Consumed by guilt, Jack struggles with the realization that his actions have cost him Diane. He admits he's disappointed in himself and feels he's fallen short of the man he wants to be. Tracy tries to comfort him, insisting he was set up and that redemption is still possible. She believes Diane could eventually forgive him. But Jack isn't convinced. From where he stands, the damage feels irreversible, and he can't see a clear way to win back Diane's trust. This episode leaves multiple storylines on edge, relationships strained, emotions raw, and conflicts deepening. As revenge plots brew and trust continues to crumble, the fallout from recent events promises even greater drama ahead. Next update. The Friday, April 3rd episode of The Young and the Restless brings emotional confrontations, lingering romantic tension, and new schemes into play. As Victoria clashes with both Diane and Kyle, and Kane sets a risky plan in motion, several characters find themselves facing difficult truths and uncertain choices. Awkward reunion at Crimson Lights. At Crimson Lights, Noah unexpectedly runs into Audra, and the atmosphere is immediately tense. Audra acknowledges the awkwardness following her recent confession about her feelings for him, expressing hope that they can move past it. As they sit together, she compliments Noah for standing by his family. Their conversation shifts to Sienna, with Noah explaining plans to recreate the Shadow Room in Genoa City. The discussion soon turns nostalgic, as both reflect on their time together in London. While Audra admits those memories have been on her mind, Noah agrees, but also points out that not everything from that period was easy to revisit. They share a bittersweet moment, remembering both the happiness and the pain they experienced, including the loss of their baby. As Audra gently reaches for his hand, the moment is abruptly interrupted by Sienna's arrival. Noah quickly greets her with a kiss, leaving Audra visibly uncomfortable. He and Sienna head off to order fresh desserts, leaving Audra behind with his unfinished muffin. Holden warns Audra. Holden soon joins Audra and doesn't hesitate to call out what he sees, her lingering feelings for Noah, despite her involvement with Kyle. He questions her judgment, especially given that Noah is now with Sienna. Audra brushes off Sienna as insignificant, but Holden isn't convinced. He cautions her that pursuing Noah could backfire, particularly since Sienna may hold damaging information about a secret from Audra's past. His warning suggests that Audra could be putting herself in a risky position if she continues down this path. Victor extends an offer to Claire. Meanwhile, at the ranch, Victor welcomes Claire warmly, until she begins pressing him about his involvement in Jack's troubled marriage. Victor initially downplays his role, claiming his actions were driven by business motives, specifically reclaiming control of his company. Claire isn't entirely convinced, sensing that Victor's actions may be more personal than he admits. Victor concedes that emotions may play a part and reflects on his difficult upbringing, explaining that his harsh experiences shaped who he is today. When Claire asks about his plans for Chancellor, Victor hints that it will be instrumental in regaining control of Newman Enterprises. He reveals that Victoria will be working alongside him and invites Claire to join them, offering to mentor her. Nikki and Jack discuss Victor. At Society, Nikki and Jack compare notes on how they're dealing with Victor. Jack shares that he's attempting to follow Billy's advice by giving Diane space, while Nikki admits she's also keeping her distance from Victor, going as far as having Victoria retrieve her belongings from the ranch. Though Nikki confesses she misses both the ranch and Victor, she insists he'll need to make the first move if they are to reconcile. Jack doubts that will happen anytime soon. The conversation turns to the yacht incident. Nikki reveals she has pieced together what happened, recalling Diane's confrontation with Patty and realizing she was the woman involved with Jack. While Jack expresses regret, he blames Victor for orchestrating the situation, calling his actions unforgivable. Jack hopes Nikki will support him in taking Victor down, but she hesitates, unsure about escalating the conflict. Jack, however, is determined, believing that the only way to stop Victor is to hit back hard. Though he hasn't finalized a plan, he promises Victor won't see it coming. Victoria clashes with Kyle and Diane. At the club bar, Tensions rise as Kyle confronts Victoria over her father's involvement in the situation with Jack and Patty. While Victoria acknowledges that Victor can be ruthless, she ultimately places responsibility on Jack for his own actions. Kyle argues that his father was drugged, but Victoria remains firm, subtly suggesting that Jack's choices still matter. Despite expressing sympathy for Kyle's family, she refuses to condemn Victor. Diane soon arrives and launches into a heated attack on Victor, calling his behavior appalling and questioning why no one in the Newman family ever holds him accountable. Victoria refuses to entertain the criticism, instead telling Diane that if her marriage is falling apart, she should look at Jack rather than blaming Victor. After Victoria leaves, Diane confides in Kyle that she's struggling to make sense of what happened. While Jack may have been drugged initially, she can't ignore that he appeared sober later. This uncertainty leaves her questioning everything she thought she knew about him. Final developments across Genoa City. Back at the ranch, Victoria arrives to collect Nikki's belongings, and Victor reacts bitterly, remarking that he almost threw her things out. Victoria encourages him to reach out to Nikki, but he refuses, walking away instead. Claire later shares with her mother that Victor has invited her to work with him. While she loves her grandfather, she admits discomfort with his methods and doesn't want to be involved in hurting others. At Crimson Lights, Noah and Sienna continue their date, discussing Audra's presence. Sienna makes it clear that they need to be honest with each other about their pasts, hinting at secrets yet to be revealed. Nearby, Audra watches them closely, clearly unsettled. Elsewhere on the patio, Holden meets with Kane, who reveals he has a job for him, one that won't be clean. Kane wants Holden to make a move against Victor, signaling the start of a potentially dangerous plan. Finally, back at the club, Kyle tries to reassure Diane that Jack would never intentionally risk their family. But Diane remains unconvinced, believing that the damage has already been done. As Kyle steps away to take a call, Jack enters the room. The moment their eyes meet, the tension between them is undeniable. This episode weaves together emotional confrontations, unresolved relationships, and the early stages of new conflicts. With trust eroding and revenge brewing, the stakes continue to rise for everyone involved. Next update. The Monday, April 6th episode of The Young and the Restless focuses on emotional fallout, strained relationships, and rising tensions, as Diane questions her future at Chabot and Holden refuses to get involved in Kane's risky scheme. Diane fears losing everything. At the GCAC, Jack approaches Diane once again, hoping another apology might make a difference. He urges her not to let Victor win, but that only irritates Diane further. She fires back, reminding him that he's the one who betrayed her with Patty. Jack admits he was under the influence at the time but doesn't use it as an excuse. He expresses deep regret for his actions and the pain he's caused. Despite his willingness to do whatever it takes to fix things, Diane isn't ready to forgive him. Her anger is still too fresh. When Kyle arrives to meet Diane for dinner, Jack quickly realizes there's no point in asking to join them. Diane confirms that and sits down with her son. Once Jack leaves, Kyle gently points out that Diane won't be able to avoid his father forever. Their conversation shifts to work as they discuss how uncomfortable things will be at Chabot moving forward. Diane begins to worry that Kyle, as co-CEO, might expect her to fix things with Jack, or risk losing her job. Kyle reassures her that he has no intention of firing her and emphasizes how valuable she is to the company. He admits he simply wants his parents to work things out, but soon realizes he's putting too much pressure on her. Feeling overwhelmed, Diane becomes emotional, cuts dinner short, and shares a hug with Kyle before leaving. Jack turns to Tracy. Elsewhere, Jack confides in Tracy about the situation with Diane. He's filled with regret and unsure how to repair the damage. Tracy encourages him not to give up, urging him to find a way to rebuild Diane's trust and fight for their marriage. Devin and Abby clash over Mariah's fate. At the Chancellor Mansion, Devin recounts the details of Dominic's kidnapping to Lily, making it clear he believes Mariah should be behind bars. Lily, however, sees things differently, suggesting that Mariah needs mental health treatment rather than prison. Devin strongly disagrees, viewing the psychiatric route as far too lenient. Though Dominic is safe, Devin remains shaken and convinced that justice hasn't been served. Meanwhile, at Society, Abby discusses the situation with Daniel. She wonders what will happen once Mariah is released from the hospital. Daniel admits he doesn't have all the answers but believes Mariah is committed to improving herself and supports the judge's decision. Abby struggles with guilt, feeling she may have contributed by stepping away at the wrong time. Still, she acknowledges that Mariah alone is responsible for what happened. Later, when Abby reconnects with Devin, she admits she's conflicted. Devin, however, is firm in his stance. He plans to take action against those who allowed Mariah to avoid prison, including the judge and district attorney involved in the plea deal. Abby questions what he hopes to achieve, but Devin insists he's fighting for justice for their family. In his view, psychiatric care simply isn't enough punishment. Holden refuses Kane's plan. At Crimson Lights, Kane approaches Holden with a controversial proposal. He wants Holden to spend time with Claire and gather information that could be used against Victor. Holden immediately feels uneasy about the idea. He doesn't think it's right to involve Claire or manipulate her, especially if it could put her in danger. Ultimately, he declines the offer. Kane accepts Holden's decision without resentment but admits this was the only opportunity he had to offer. Holden, who could use the money, hopes Kane will consider him for other work in the future, just not anything that involves using Claire. Lily gets a warning. When Lily arrives at the coffee house, she attempts to speak with Kane, but he refuses and walks away. Holden then steps in and fills her in on what's been happening. He explains how worried Kane was during the time Lily and the twins were missing and reveals that he even investigated in Los Angeles on Kane's behalf. Lily clarifies that there was never any real danger, which surprises Holden. Still, he remains troubled by Kane's current mindset. He warns Lily that Kane seems unstable and is planning something major against Victor. For her own safety, Holden advises her to keep her distance and avoid getting pulled into the conflict. Trouble ahead. As tensions continue to rise, it's clear that Kane's feud with Victor is far from over. Meanwhile, relationships remain fragile, and unresolved emotions threaten to spark even more drama in the days ahead. Next update. The week of April 6th to 10th brings major developments to The Young and the Restless, highlighted by the long-anticipated return of familiar faces, a powerful reunion, and secrets that could shake Genoa City. Fans first learned earlier this year that Shamar Moore and Vivica A. Fox would reprise their roles. Now, their characters, Malcolm Winters and Dr. Stephanie Simmons, make their on-screen return starting Tuesday, April 7th. Their arrival sets the stage for an emotional reunion that has been years in the making. However, Malcolm doesn't come back empty-handed. He carries a secret that could have serious consequences, especially for Lily. Weekly Breakdown. Monday, April 6, episode 13349. Diane refuses to forgive Jack despite his attempts to make amends. Abby reaches out to someone from her past, while Holden finds himself caught in a difficult situation. Tuesday, April 7, episode 13350. Malcolm returns to Genoa City with a hidden truth, and Stephanie arrives unexpectedly, surprising everyone. Wednesday, April 8, episode 13351. Malcolm and Stephanie finally come face to face, leading to a heartfelt reunion. Elsewhere, Phyllis tries to tempt Cain, and Lily is entrusted with a shocking secret. Thursday, April 9, episode 13352. Malcolm and Stephanie are forced to confront their complicated history. Lily seeks advice from Tracy, while Claire begins to notice a different side of Holden. Friday, April 10, episode 13353. Lily takes decisive action to help Malcolm. Meanwhile, Adam takes dangerous risks, and Matt Clark corners Nick in a tense situation. What to expect? The biggest storyline this week revolves around Malcolm and Stephanie. Their return alone is significant, but it's Malcolm's secret that adds an extra layer of intrigue. As their reunion unfolds, unresolved issues from their past resurface, making their reconnection anything but simple. Lily becomes deeply involved when she's trusted with sensitive information, likely tied to Malcolm. Struggling with the weight of it, she turns to Tracy for guidance before eventually stepping in to help her father herself. Elsewhere, Claire's perception of Holden begins to shift after she sees a new side of him. Whether this change improves or worsens her opinion remains unclear, but it could influence her ongoing tensions with Kyle. In Las Vegas, things take a darker turn. Adam continues pushing boundaries, engaging in risky behavior that could backfire. At the same time, Nick finds himself spiraling, making reckless choices that leave him vulnerable. His downward path allows Matt Clark to gain the upper hand, putting Nick in a difficult and potentially dangerous position. Overall, the week promises emotional reunions, buried secrets, and escalating conflicts. With returning characters stirring up the past and current storylines intensifying, Genoa City is heading into a dramatic stretch that could change everything. Next update. The upcoming week of April 6th to 10th on The Young and the Restless promises explosive drama, shocking returns, and risky decisions that could change everything in Genoa City. From Malcolm's long-awaited comeback to Adam walking a dangerous line, multiple storylines are set to intensify. Adam and Nick spiral in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, Adam and Nick Newman find themselves caught in a high-stakes situation. Adam recently impressed Risa Thompson by winning a significant amount of money, strengthening his connection with her. However, the situation grows more complicated as both Adam and Matt Clark begin applying pressure on Risa. Adam continues pushing to meet Risa's mysterious business partner, already suspecting it's Matt, though Risa has no idea he's figured it out. At the same time, Matt has been hearing plenty about Spider, unaware that the man in question is actually Adam. Meanwhile, Adam appears to be slipping deeper into his Spider persona, blurring personal and professional boundaries. His growing closeness with Risa becomes increasingly intimate, raising serious concerns about his relationship with Chelsea. Despite knowing the risks, Adam seems prepared to cross the line if it means protecting his family from Matt. Back at their hotel, Nick questions just how far Adam is willing to go. Given Adam's earlier promise to do whatever it takes, it's clear he may be willing to sacrifice more than he should. Nick's addiction worsens. Nick's situation becomes even more troubling as his drug use escalates. Already under the influence, he continues taking fentanyl pills supplied by Matt, while still carrying additional unidentified substances. His condition raises alarm for Sharon and Chelsea, who recently spoke to him while he was clearly impaired. Both women are increasingly worried, not just about Nick, but about Adam as well. There are growing fears that Nick's downward spiral could lead to devastating consequences. If his addiction continues unchecked, it may result in serious harm to himself or someone close to him. Jack targets Victor as Diane struggles. Elsewhere, Jack Abbott remains determined to retaliate against Victor Newman. He continues trying to persuade Nikki to support his plan, arguing that Victor must be forced to back down. Nikki, however, urges caution, warning that escalating the situation could make things worse. Jack's anger stems from the belief that Victor orchestrated a setup involving Patty Williams, leaving him humiliated and his marriage in ruins. As Jack and Diane come face to face again, the tension is undeniable. Diane wants to believe Jack's claim that he was drugged, but doubts linger. By the time she and others found him, he appeared coherent, making the situation harder to understand. Now, Diane is at a crossroads, unsure whether to trust Jack or accept that their relationship may be beyond repair. More enemies rise against Victor. Victor's actions are creating a growing list of enemies. While he continues plotting against others, more people are beginning to push back. Victoria remains firmly in his corner, consistently defending him despite his questionable behavior. However, Claire may also start leaning in Victor's direction, influenced by her past and complicated upbringing. Still, with so many people turning against Victor, it's only a matter of time before someone attempts to bring him down. Kane and Phyllis consider an alliance. Kane Ashby is also making bold moves. After trying, and failing, to recruit Holden for a plan against Victor, Kane shifts his attention to Phyllis Summers. The two share an intense conversation at the GCAC, sparking speculation that Kane may propose working together. However, Phyllis already seems to have what she wants, leaving her motivation unclear. Whether she joins forces with Kane remains to be seen. Malcolm and Stephanie return with big news. One of the biggest developments of the week is the return of Malcolm Winters and Dr. Stephanie Simmons, played by Shamar Moore and Vivica A. Fox. Malcolm arrives in Genoa City with surprising news that is expected to impact multiple lives. When he reunites with Lily at the GCAC, she's overjoyed to see him. Later, Malcolm reconnects with Stephanie, and the two reflect on how Olivia and Drusilla once believed they were meant to be together. Their return brings both nostalgia and major revelations, setting up long-term consequences for several characters. Other key developments. Additional storylines add even more tension to the week. Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott begin making significant plans for the future. Patty Williams continues to create problems for Jack and Diane, deepening the strain in their relationship. Nikki and Victor's marriage faces further strain, as both refuse to back down. Nikki initially believed her separation from Victor would be temporary, but she's beginning to accept that reconciliation may not come easily, if at all. While she misses him, Victor remains stubborn, insisting she must be the one to return. Consumed by revenge, Victor appears to be prioritizing power over love, pushing his personal relationships to the brink. A week of high stakes and big twists. With emotional reunions, dangerous choices, and escalating rivalries, the week ahead is packed with drama. As secrets unravel and alliances shift, Genoa City is heading toward a turning point that could reshape multiple lives. Fans can expect major surprises, intense confrontations, and unforgettable moments as these storylines continue to unfold. Next update. Romance is once again front and center for the young and the restless as Billy and Sally reconnect, but could their renewed relationship lead to something as serious as marriage? A relationship that keeps coming back. Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra have been involved since 2024, and their journey has been anything but smooth. After both experienced heartbreak in previous relationships, Billy with Chelsea and Sally with Adam, they found comfort and chemistry with each other, quickly becoming a fan-favorite duo often nicknamed Silly. Despite their strong connection, the couple has faced repeated setbacks. Much of their conflict stems from Billy's impulsive decision-making, particularly in business. Sally has stood by him through major risks, even supporting his vision for launching Abbott Communications. However, Billy's ongoing fixation on reclaiming Chancellor caused serious tension. His actions not only threatened their professional ambitions but also strained their personal bond. Eventually, things reached a breaking point, and Sally chose to walk away. A fresh start, or another risk? Just when it seemed like their relationship might be over for good, Billy and Sally found their way back to each other after an emotional and honest conversation. Now reunited, they appear ready to move forward, but questions remain about what that future looks like. Recent hints suggest the pair will begin making plans together, likely focusing on their careers. With opportunities tied to ventures like Spectra Charles or Chancellor, business decisions could be their immediate priority. Still, some are wondering if their next step might be more personal than professional. Could wedding bells be next? Given their history and the depth of their connection, the idea of marriage isn't out of the question. Sally has already built a positive relationship with Billy's children, Johnny and Katie, which signals a level of stability in their lives together. Billy, especially after nearly losing Sally, may feel motivated to prove how serious he is this time. A proposal could be his way of showing commitment and ensuring she knows he doesn't want to let her go again. The big question. Even if Billy decides to take that step, Sally's response isn't guaranteed. While she clearly cares about him, she still has lingering concerns about his unpredictable behavior. Before saying yes, Sally may need reassurance that Billy can truly change and be someone she can rely on. Trust, more than love, could ultimately determine whether their future includes a wedding or another heartbreak. Next update. Upcoming twists on The Young and the Restless hint at serious trouble ahead, as Patty's obsession with Jack could spiral into something far more dangerous, possibly putting Diane in harm's way. Patty's fixation grows stronger. Patty Williams remains convinced that she and Jack Abbott share a real connection, especially after their encounter on the yacht. In her mind, this moment proves that Jack belongs with her. In reality, however, Jack is focused on repairing his relationship with Diane Jenkins Abbott. As long as Diane stays in Genoa City, Patty may begin to realize that Jack will never fully turn his attention toward her. That realization could push Patty toward drastic action. A dangerous plan takes shape. Spoilers suggest Patty might decide the only way to win Jack is to remove Diane from the equation entirely. One possible scenario is that Patty causes Diane to disappear, potentially holding her captive somewhere out of sight. Although Patty wants to believe she's changed and become more stable, her actions could prove otherwise. Still, she may justify keeping Diane alive as a sign of her supposed progress, convincing herself she's not crossing a line. Instead of harming Diane, Patty could imprison her and wait for Jack to come searching, perhaps even imagining a dramatic rescue that brings them closer together. Covering her tracks. To make her plan believable, Patty might try to create the illusion that Diane left town on her own. By taking Diane's phone, she could send a message suggesting Diane chose to walk away, unable to handle the pain of staying near Jack. This deception might seem convincing at first, but there are flaws. Jack knows how much Diane values her rebuilt relationship with Kyle Abbott and wouldn't expect her to abandon him again. He may also question why she would leave without any concern for Harrison. Jack follows his instincts. As doubts grow, Jack could begin to suspect that something is wrong. His connection to Diane might lead him to believe she's in danger rather than gone by choice. This could set the stage for a dramatic rescue storyline, with Jack stepping in as Diane's savior. Such a moment might not only bring Diane back safely but also create an opportunity for healing between them after recent turmoil. More chaos ahead. With Patty at the center of the chaos, Diane and Jack's lives are about to become even more complicated. Whether this dangerous scheme succeeds or backfires, one thing is certain: Patty's actions will shake things up in a big way, and the fallout could change everything. Next update. Fans of The Young and the Restless are increasingly asking the same question: why hasn't Summer returned to Genoa City yet? With so much happening, her absence is becoming harder to ignore, especially for the people who need her most. Kyle's life has shifted. Summer Newman initially left town partly to escape the overly perfect dynamic between Kyle Abbott and Claire. But that relationship has now ended, completely changing the situation. With Kyle single again, and known for not staying that way for long, this could be the perfect moment for Summer to re-enter the picture. If there's any chance of rekindling their past, the timing is ideal. Harrison needs stability. More importantly, Harrison Abbott has gone through constant upheaval. He's lost multiple parental figures and struggled to adjust as new ones came and went. With Claire now out of the picture, Harrison is once again left without a steady maternal presence. While the adults in his life are preoccupied with their own problems, he's the one who truly needs someone reliable. Summer stepping back in could provide the stability he's been missing. Someone needs to call out Phyllis and Victor. Summer's return wouldn't just impact her personal life, it could shake things up across Genoa City. Both Phyllis Summers and Victor Newman have been making controversial moves, and no one has really held them accountable. Summer has never been afraid to speak her mind, and her perspective could bring a much-needed reality check. While it may not change their behavior, it would certainly add some fresh tension and honesty to the ongoing drama. Time for a comeback. Between Kyle's new circumstances, Harrison's need for stability, and the chaos surrounding Phyllis and Victor, Summer's presence feels more necessary than ever. Genoa City is shifting fast, and it might be time for her to come home and face it all head-on. For more of the latest updates and behind-the-scenes secrets from Young and the Restless, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Stay in the know with every new release.